A very good evening and a warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I am Pamuddu Katagampala. Let's have a look at the top stories for today. The economic growth forecast rises to 4.5%, State Minister Cabral reveals. And Air France has announced commencing flights from Colombo soon. News in detail. The government revised down the 2021 economic growth forecast to 4.5 to 5% from the previous prediction of 6% due to the impact of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. State Minister for Money, Capital Market and State Enterprise Reforms, Ajit Cabral, said during a webinar titled "Will the Economy Collapse and Will GSP Plus Be Lost?" organised by the Government Information Department. State Minister Ajit Cabral said that the 6% growth projection by the central bank was prior to the third wave of COVID-19 and they feel it was a difficult target. He told the media personnel that it is more realistic to say that they will achieve a 4.5% to 5% growth this year. He acknowledged that if there was no countrywide lockdown, the 5.5% to 6% growth projection estimated by the central bank would have been possible. The State Minister also pointed out that the government had lost tax revenue as a result of the months under curfew and lockdown, and it has impacted adversely on the SMEs. Citing Singapore's model to revive the economy, Cabral said keeping the country up and running amidst the COVID-19 should be the foundation to kickstart the tourism sector that attracted $4.5 billion foreign exchange annually. The State Minister asserted that more delay to implement the economic-related activities will prolong the process to revive the economy. He also added that the government will face the challenges ahead of them, manage the unfamiliar circumstances and will succeed eventually. Cabral also said that the government will not shy away from deploying all tools possible to stabilize the economy in the coming months. The Sigiri Rock Fortress has been listed as one of the new 7 wonders of the world by Bloomberg Business Week. Sri Lanka Tourism in a statement says that it makes Sri Lanka the only Asian country to make it onto the list along with 6 other iconic sites, appealing to the new age traveller with a thirst for adventure. Sustaining its brand visibility and universal appeal on a global platform, Sri Lanka Tourism is once again in the spotlight with the recent recognition by Bloomberg Business Week. Sri Lanka Tourism adds that these marvels include archaeological and natural treasures spanning far wider than the ancient Greek world and catering to all types of modern explorers. Sri Lanka Tourism has strategically embarked on developing Sigiriya, a World Heritage Site, into a sustainable destination under the National Sustainable Destination Certification Initiative. Sustainable tourism is essential to protect natural, cultural and environmental resources which are critical for the well-being of Sri Lanka's tourism industry. If these valuable resources are not sustained, Sri Lanka could see dwindling tourist numbers in the future. With foresight on global tourism moving towards sustainable growth, Sri Lanka Tourism initiated the National Sustainable Tourism Certification for the accommodation sector. Furthermore, Sri Lanka Tourism continues to study the product and services offered by their regional rivals and differentiate the Sri Lankan tourism offering while highlighting the multitude of immersive experiences available to explore on the island. For the first time in World Scouting history, the Sri Lanka Scout Association has made arrangements to conduct a virtual global cultural jamboree with the participation of more than 100 national scout organizations and over 20,000 scouts. The international briefing of the Global Cultural Jamboree was addressed by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa virtually with the participation of more than 5,000 scouts from different parts of the world. The virtual Global Cultural Jamboree will be held from the 16th to 18th this month.
It is indeed a great achievement of the Sri Lanka Scout Association to organize the virtual jamboree, which will be the first of its kind in the history of scouting in Sri Lanka. It is also a milestone in the history of scouting that a cultural jamboree of the nature is taking place through the use of technology. It is remarkable that more than 15,000 scouts from over 100 countries are coming together for this global gathering to showcase different cultural identities. Furthermore, it is important that scouts are being empowered through the support of many partners towards creating a better world It is an essential step in ensuring that youth are involved in action on global issues such as climate change, peace, harmony, and so much more. The World Organization of the Scout Movement and the Sri Lanka Scout Association have produced many young individuals who have become global leaders and change makers in society. It is my hope that this Jamboree will also provide that opportunity for the young scouts participating this year.
We'll be back with more news after the short break.
ඔබේ මොබයිල් සබඳතාවය කුමක් වුවත් දැන් ඔබ යන තැන එන ලංකාවේ සුපිරිම අන්ලිමිටඩ් ඉන්ටර්නෙට් පාසුකම SLT Go Prepaid. SLT Go Wi-Fi ඇති ඕන තැනක ඕනෑම වෙලාවක unlimited data. SLT Mobitel. එකම එක සමදියාව.
ඒත් නෑනේ පොළගාවේ නම් තිබුණලු
මම ගියා එහෙත් ඉවරයි
කාර් එකයි කෝටි ගොඩයි ටිකට් එකයි දිනුම් දෙකයි සම්පත ලග්නවර්ම මාසිකම එකයි
පරක් වෙලා වාසනාව නැති කරගන්න එපා
ජාතික ලොතරැයි මණ්ඩලය.
Welcome back after the break. Sri Lanka's rupee is being quoted in the curb market at 225 rupees to 226 rupees and 50 cents to the US dollar. Brokers at the stock market say that an unusual demand for currency notes emerged over the past 2 weeks amid forex trading curbs in the formal market, participants said as money printing continued. Generally known as the Nana rate, which is offered by money changers in Colombo for the Middle East returnees and others, rose dramatically over the past month after a COVID-19 control was lifted and foreign exchange rationing began for imports. The curb rate had begun gradually picking up but jumped as devaluation speculation rose among banks last week. The curb market usually offers a better rate for hard-working Middle East returnees than banks by trading between the bank's two-way price. Banks in the past tended to offer a rate of about 2 to 3 rupees below the interbank spot for Middle East returnees, while the curb market offered a rate that is at the spot rate or marginally lower. The spread used to be about 50 cents to $1 compared to 5 rupees for banks, market participants say, though it had widened now. Banks in the airport are offering only around 197.75 for currency notes and a 2 rupee supplement for returnees. However, the analyst says that the curb market is a major advantage for hard-working Middle East returnees who are paying sky prices for tickets to change notes. A total of 5 million vaccine financed through the World Bank Sri Lanka COVID-19 Emergency Response and Health System Preparedness Project will be supplied by December 2021. A consignment of Pfizer vaccines today arrived in Colombo, the first batch of 800,000 doses to be delivered in the next few weeks. World Bank support, which first prioritised health emergency needs, will also help Sri Lanka's public health care withstand future shocks. Since the first COVID-19 case was confirmed in early 2020, Sri Lanka has successfully managed the pandemic, but the country now faces a third wave of coronavirus. So far, the bank's support has helped strengthen Sri Lanka's testing capacity, such as establishing molecular biology laboratories and providing essential laboratory and biomedical equipment. Patient treatment capacity will be improved through the planned district-level oxygen generating plants, ensuring oxygen supplies are available to patients. The vaccines were procured through the procedure established in the loan agreement signed with the Government of Sri Lanka in May 2020, as well as the 2 criteria for the World Bank vaccine approval. The World Bank funding can be provided for vaccines that received regular or emergency license or authorization from at least one of the stringent regulatory authorities identified by the World Health Organization for vaccines procured and or supplied under the COVAX facility, and vaccines that received WHO pre-qualification or WHO emergency use listing. Accordingly, the first batch of 26,000 Pfizer vaccines to shield against COVID-19, which was funded by Sri Lanka as the first country in the South Asian region, arrived this morning. The country is also due to receive 200,000 Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines. Air France has announced commencing flights to and from Colombo thrice a week from November this year. Air France has also announced that the move will flourish the travel and tourism industry with much more benefits to Sri Lanka. France is the first biggest tourism source market for Sri Lanka, and resumption of flights, first time since the 1980s, confirms the French national carrier's attraction to and confidence in Sri Lanka. During 2019 and 18, Sri Lanka received over 100,000 tourists from France, all having minimum stays of 8 nights, earning considerable foreign exchange for the country. Aviation connections between the two countries commenced in 1968, with UTE French airline flights operating the Colombo to Muscat and vice versa sector, and it worked well for many years till 1985. Koneson Ceylon chairman Chandra Wickramasinghe says that at a time when the world is experiencing a 90% downturn in international tourism, giant airline operator Air France considers to operate to Colombo and Mali, and it shows the confidence they have in Sri Lanka and the Maldives combination. He also added that with Air France having a network of over 200 offices across the world, this initiative will lead to all of them actively marketing the Sri Lanka-Maldives combination. Koneson Ceylon chairman further added that the announcement itself is worth millions of dollars of publicity. He said 70% of the French tourists engage in the round trip, hence there will be income to the cultural triangle, temples and national parks. This will also provide new hopes and fresh opportunity for tour guides, provincial tour guides, jeep drivers, whale-watching boat operators, spice gardens, tea factories, etc. to revive their livelihoods. He urged Sri Lanka Tourism to contact French market specialists in Sri Lanka to create a serious marketing program to cover all segments of the French market. He also implied that well-seasoned operators will be able to suggest many innovative ideas to make this program work. Stay tuned for more news after this short break.
ඒත් නෑනේ පොළගාවේ නම් තිබුණලු
මම ගියා එහෙත් ඉවරයි
කාර් එකයි කෝටි ගොඩයි ටිකට් එකයි දිනුම් දෙකයි සම්පත ලග්නවර්ම මාසිකම එකයි
පරක් වෙලා වාසනාව නැති කරගන්න එපා
ජාතික ලොතරැයි මණ්ඩලය
ඇත්තටම උත්තරය ඇත්ත එකම එක සැබැඳියාවක ගෙදරට වැඩකට ගමනට එකම එක සැබැඳියාවක බැඳෙන මුළු මහත් රටකට Good morning sir, how can I help?
SLT Mobitel එකම එක සැබැඳියාව
Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The All Share Price Index gained by 47.65 points to close at 7,794.21, and the S&P SL 20 dropped by 17.79 points to close at 2,952.96. The turnover was 1.41 billion rupees and almost 47 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. Well, that's all news for today. See you tomorrow at 7:45 p.m. with State of Business. Until then, take care and good night.